Hey, Matt.
Hello.
You know,
How are you doing?
I'm having to go. It's, you don't worry. I think everybody's fell for that trap today. And
Yeah.
good. How are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, really good. Yeah, and I've been keeping up with a lot of it today, and it's fantastic. Yeah, so many great ideas, so many great people.
Good. Yeah, it's been good. It's been informative. It's been enlightening for me. This is on very many levels. Learned lots of things. Vermicomposting to solar panels. It's a little bit of everything, which I think is what Envirolution is all about.
Definitely.
But yeah, so yeah, do you want to introduce yourself potentially, just for those who might not know?
Yeah. So hello, I'm Matthew, and I was kind of there at the beginning of Envirolution, back in the day when it was actually called Sustainable Manchester Festival. I'm glad that name didn't stick around very long. Back in the day when not a single person within the project could actually say the words Envirolution. We kind of fumbled through that for about 12 months. And yeah, sort of a veteran up until kind of 2013, and then kind of back for a couple of spells after that. And then it's just been glorious to see how it's kind of been taken forward by, pretty much a new group of people with new ideas and new passions. And it kind of, it's managed to keep the same sort of spirit, I guess, that we kind of tried to create at the beginning.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm just changing the headphones.
Cool. Is my video and audio okay?
Yeah, you'll come through loud and clear. Look, yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
So you were there on day one, which is 10 years ago today. So well, maybe not today, but 10 years ago. So happy birthday to Envirolution.
Yeah. Well, 2009 was sort of the year that the kind of conversation started, I guess.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it actually started on a bus. I'd kind of just moved back to Manchester. So I mean, like today, I was lucky, and I do feel really blessed actually that I graduated into a recession. So all of the kind of opportunities that I'd sort of been training for were kind of taken away from me. So without all of that sort of that kind of path set out for me, you have to kind of find your own way. And we'd been having some chats, and I was on a bus. And I was speaking to a lady called Faye, and I was just telling her about this idea that I had, and as these things, as they normally work, she said that she wanted to get into events, so sort of the idea of doing something was born. And actually, sort of before that, I'd kind of been active in Manchester sort of environmental movement as a whole, and I think a lot of people that have sort of stepped into this world, I just sort of felt my first big trauma. Like 2008, 2009 was, we were kind of building up to Copenhagen, which we all thought was going to be the moment, the world had woken up, the governments were saying the right things, and we thought this was it. And then kind of nothing happened from that. And from that trauma, I suppose the feeling that I had was like, how do I become useful? And from that, this kind of need, I guess, to communicate, communicate better and with more people around these issues was front and center. So yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? I think you see it a lot with COVID. Is the bigger the challenge, the more people rise up to it, and I think it must be true with you, facing the recession and facing the uphill battle. It just sort of empowers people to work a bit harder, which is encouraging. Definitely, I think we're definitely going to need all the strength we can get in the current climate. So
I think it's that. I think everyone gets kind of trapped into a pattern, whichever pattern they have, and whether it's coming from the education they've had or the parents they've got, or just the kind of the peers around them, that the path is almost set out for you. For me, it was graduating, I was in the city, it was getting a job, and that was all kind of just swept away. So it freed me up to sort of say, well, what is going on in Manchester? And as anyone who kind of lives there knows, Manchester is a glorious city. There's so much going on, and you know, you don't have to work very hard to find your way into a kind of a group of passionate people that are really, you know, putting their whole like lives on hold for an issue, you know, and these pockets of these people are everywhere. And particularly the sort of work around the call to real action, which was Manchester's kind of climate action plan. Like all of these groups started coming together. And I think for me, like, you know, the first lesson of how to create an Envirolution is to piggyback on what's already there. And the call to real action, they had their kind of method of engaging with people, you know, friends meeting house, call a meeting, see who turned up, do something with the people that turn up. So that's exactly what we did. And yeah, I mean, I don't think this would have happened if that meeting hadn't happened and Bob hadn't have come along. So lesson 2 for how to create a Envirolution is find a Bob.
I remember that meeting very, very well, Matt. It was the room was full of people, wasn't it? How many people do you reckon we had in there? Probably about, there was loads, wasn't there? I'm going to say 100.
It was only that first little room that was kind of in there as well. So like, you know, it was you know, 20 plus people, and it was too big for the room. So, you know, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was finding those right people, wasn't it? I just happened to be there because, you know, that somebody had told me about it. Somebody had told me about this crazy guy and this crazy idea. And it just sounded intriguing to me. And so I wanted to get involved and see where it went. But from all of those people, it kind of whittled down, didn't it, to the sort of, you know, the core number of folk who we needed. And it was having those right people in the right places with the right kind of passion for the movement to make it work from there.
Yeah, I think that's number 3 in kind of how to create an Envirolution is that it's really a story of people. And, you know, the sort of people that kind of you find along the way are the ones that really kind of help to kind of adapt it into you know, what it becomes. And I think that, you know, I think looking back, I mean, it's been a really, really beautiful couple of days, actually, being able to kind of look back at, you know, kind of what we've done and, you know, and try and sort of put some sense into, you know, into how it was created. And, you know, I think a lot of these things, when you look back, you kind of almost see the patterns as, you know, our master plan. But in fact, I think that what we were really beautiful at doing was just sort of stepping out of the way of sort of saying that, you know, to create this thing that, you know, none of us, I don't think, ever could really put a finger on what it was we were creating. That we just knew that, like, it was going to be people that come in that kind of made it into something. And I think what we were beautiful at is kind of removing, well, I mean, I don't think any of us had any kind of big ego anyway, but I think removing that from the whole process was key. You know, and I think the response we got from particularly sort of the early Manchester University volunteers was that they were coming in, and like from day one we were asking their opinion on, you know, something that was going to define the next festival. And you know, and I think they really stood up to that challenge.
It's that co-creation process, I suppose, isn't it, of, you know, making people feel like they're part of it, and so, you know, their opinion is valid, because we are all in this kind of battle or kind of challenge or whatever we want to call it together, aren't we? And so it's, you know, a lot of the things that have come up from these talks today is like, what can I possibly do? Like, what can I bring to this? And it was really good, especially the talk we were having with Andy Hughes, who was talking about creativity. And what did he say? He said something really good. He said about never underestimating the poetic. And so what he's talking about there is the sort of what he found was his way of creatively expressing it. And so he was using photography, and he was using what he had. And so that's a real kind of a real good lesson for us all, isn't it? And think about what our strengths are and what it is that we can possibly do.
Yeah.
And pick
and I think that's it. I think that's why I see it as a story of people, because, you know, because at each kind of level you look at, you know, in each festival or each kind of stage of it, you can pick out and highlight key individuals that brought something that was desperately needed at that time, you know. And I think, you know, I think so, like Faye on the bus, you know, if you know, because the idea of doing an event to me was just, you know, it was completely unknown, and it was to her too, but the difference was is that she was like, oh, okay, I would like to learn about that. So it kind of like, okay, well, I can help you learn about that. And then like an event didn't seem that scary. And, you know, like meeting you and, you know, kind of even that conversation about like, you know, what would we even do there? And, you know, you'd kind of been doing this for so long that you were like, well, I know this person that can do that. Oh, they'll play there, here, you know, people will speak up here. And you know, kind of like, okay, well, that kind of ticks half of the boxes in a meeting. And then we found Joseph, and, you know, he came and kind of designed the logo for us. And, you know, what was his name that I was working in the bar with that came up with Envirolution and as a name. And, you know, just all these beautiful people. And then I think, you know, I think that because an event, particularly a yearly event, you know, takes so much kind of effort, and there's such a big high before the dip, you know. I think that then the kind of new wave of people that come in, like, you know, finding Dawn and all of her energy and you know, and her passion and her kind of, you know, friend group and network outside of it, and, you know, and the challenges of the kind of fiery kind of debates that we had with people like Agatha, and, you know, and kind of bringing her passion, and hopefully we've still kept some of that into what we do. And you know, and then for me, sort of settling into it in that middle period, you know, of like me, you, Dawn, Paul, and the kind of beautiful Plattfields Park family that was created around there. And, you know, it's just like, you know, it's like interweaving tapestry of people that, you know, you just sit here and just be blessed to be part of.
Yeah, both, buddy. Yeah, well, I mean, it's been interesting. We've kind of asked a few people who've been on talks, like what the sort of turning point has been. And so I wondered if you wanted to talk a little bit about that moment where you were just like, actually, you know, something needs to be done about this, because you were originally studying business and that, right?
Yeah,
so I wondered if you wanted to talk a bit about how you sort of views have changed on things. Might be useful.
It's quite interesting actually. So, you know, I'm now part of the Happy Food Co-op, and that's sort of, you know, right near the very beginning, and we're, you know, we're just setting up as a cooperative, and a new group has come together. So we're kind of finding out and learning about, you know, ourselves and each other there. And Josh is 19, so, you know, like he's not experienced a lot of the world yet. And I kind of look back at like my 19-year-old self, and you know, I just it really encourages me how much further ahead he is than I was back then, you know, and in every part of it. And, you know, I've always kind of been very opinionated, and I've always kind of like to challenge people's sort of ideas, and you know, but I was lost for a long time. You know, I went to university to study business because I just read Richard Branson's autobiography. You know, that was literally it. I only went to university because I realized that actually, what's the alternative? Getting a job. And, you know, it was just, and my A levels were so bad that it was like, you know, I got offered to, I think there was like one university, which was Manchester. So I went to Manchester. You know, there was no sort of plan to any of this. But I guess the first real kind of touch point was when I went traveling, and I ended up in Peru, and I ended up in the Sacred Valley, and there was something barren about it. And if you listen to any of the stories about the Inca civilization, like, you know, for whatever the sort of you know, kind of slave-esque mentality they had to build all of that, like it was vibrant, and it was abundant, and it was beautiful. And yeah, I was in the heart of it. I was in the valley that fed 90,000 people, you know, at the heart of the Inca Empire, and it was barren, and it was miserable, and it was, you know, it was desert-like. And there was currently 3,000 people that were struggling to feed themselves, in, you know, on the same bit of land, and they'd kind of, you know, over 30 years resorted to slash and burn, and it was just like there was kind of nothing left. You know, there's no culture left. There's no sort of food. There was no kind of food culture left. There was no vibrancy left, and there wasn't any. There wasn't any sort of almost like accountability left. You know, they'd almost kind of given up, and now they were just like touting on tourists and, like, you know, waiting for handouts, and there was just something about that sort of, like, you know, flourishing 90,000 population like hundreds of years ago, and then what it was like now, and it just made me kind of feel that, you know, there's definitely something better, and it kind of sent me on this path of searching, and thankfully sent me back to Manchester, and, you know, finding people that were kind of asking the same sort of questions.
Yeah. And I mean, that kind of leads on to what I wanted to chat to you about next, which was happy food. And so what you started now. So do you want to give people a little kind of roundup of the amazing things that you're doing down in Norfolk? Yeah,
well, I guess, I mean, so I guess one of the things I heard today, and I'm not sure who said it, because there was that beautiful kind of back and throw between Andy Hughes and Chris Hines before. But one of them said, like, it's all been said before. And I guess when I got back down to Suffolk, and the 2 years before that, when I was living out in Kathmandu, you know, that was the feeling, is that, like, you know, pre-Envirolution, like at Envirolution, like the conversations were sort of the same. So I didn't want to come back and just, you know, carry on being stuck in a kind of loop, I guess. And I suppose one of the things that really, one of the transitions within Envirolution was the idea at the beginning. We were really desperate to reach hard to reach people. You know, it was all about, like, how do we get into the hard to reach communities? And I think that for me, looking at it, one of the things that we got right round the middle time, 2013 was a beautiful festival. And I think it's because what had come around us is lots of people that wanted to be part of this thing, this Envirolution, and they brought all of their fun and their energy around it. And what was beautiful about 2013 was, because of the bank holiday weekend, because of the weather, like, all of those hard to reach people were there, and they kind of fell upon Envirolution, and, you know, all of the things that we kind of thought would happen if we'd managed to reach out to them, it kind of happened. So that idea of sort of, like, not sort of getting stuck in a cycle, and, like, and not focusing on trying to reach the masses, kind of led me to think about, you know, what is it I want to do, and, you know, being on the land growing food is just it's just a beautiful thing. And you know, I kind of touched on it in Plattfields, getting involved in the volunteering side of it, but really, you know, coming down here and just jumping onto some land, and, you know, and putting some seeds in the ground, and just watching it flourish is it's special. So the idea was to pretty much, you know, I call it my Envirolution 2.0, is, you know, find some beautiful people, you know, have a beautiful dream, and just sort of make it happen. And so we're just setting up as a worker cooperative. Same as Envirolution, it's got common ownership, so, you know, it's there for the community, not for us. But yeah, I mean, making farm work pay to kind of fund people being back on the land is a very important, beautiful part of it. But yeah, it's just, you know, for me, it's the same. It's the same thing that's all been said before, but it's like, you know, it's just a new way of communicating.
And to a new crowd as well, because, you know, in Manchester we've got so many different kinds of people, haven't we? And yeah, those people that we really wanted to reach, like in 2013, we were lucky enough to reach them, weren't we? Because it had been raining for 3 weeks before the day. I think I remember you being on the park with a fork, trying to get some drainage in the grass. So the rain is soaked down, and then on that weekend, on that day, the sun came out and it was beautiful, and everybody came to the park, and like you said, everybody we wanted to be there came to the park. But down where you are now in rural Suffolk, you've got different challenges, haven't you? And so it's taken you a bit of time to kind of learn about the situation, I suppose, and break those down. But I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, well, I guess So I don't know if there's a Dutch philosopher called Rutger Bregman, and he's just brought a book out called Humankind, and I was listening to a quote that he was using about how Einstein said that, you know, all we've done is we're standing on the shoulder of giants, and he says that actually, you know, what it is that we're standing on the shoulder of like lots of normal sized people, and I think for me it's that. I think it's like, you know, and this is kind of the way that I see the way the farming is. It's like, I don't need to do anything there. I just need to let nature come back and do its thing. You know, I don't need to, you know, I don't need to sort of like invent beautiful food, or I don't need to sort of, you know, come up with the next new vegetable. I just need to kind of let it all happen. And it's the same with Envirolution. You know, the beautiful thing is that every year it sort of you know, gets stronger just from being there. Like, more people get involved in it, and that's the way that I kind of see the farm, is that, you know, it's about finding that group of people, finding that those people that we can tell the stories of, and just holding on to them. You know, like getting the 4 of us, the 3 of us, the 10 of us, whatever the number is, that kind of cling on to this piece of land, and kind of making them happy, and figuring out, you know, how we want to kind of commit to it, and then the rest of it will just happen. People will find us, you know, wildlife will find us, like, you know, the food will find its way out to the people that want it. So yeah, that's kind of what we're aiming for at the moment.
So over the kind of the times that you've been starting it up, since you've been down there's been lots of kind of ups and downs, I suppose. And like, what's kept you going? What's been your kind of mantra? Maybe you've got other books or other people that you've kind of found inspirational that you might be able to tell us all about.
Yeah, I think my my mantra is always, you know, and I think I found this somewhere, you know, in the last 10 years in Envirolution, is like, is find the thing that you want to do kind of forever. You know, the thing that you want to, the bit of it that you want to kind of, that you would do regardless, like, you know, how bad it gets and the crisis we could find ourselves in, if in your mind you'd still be doing what it is you're doing now, or, you know, if there's no money available and you have to do it for free, you're still doing the thing that you're doing now. Or if, you know, the other side of it, like if we end up in a wonderful place and, you know, money or whatever it is that we're trading in is like, you know, is abundant, you know, if you're still doing, when you picture that, if you're still doing the thing that you're doing right now, then you know it's working. And, you know, like for me in Envirolution, it was like, you know, the festival itself was never, it was something that I, like, managing the festival was something that I could do. So, you know, that being useful was important, but being part of that group was something that I would want to do, whether we'd want £1 million to run the next festival, whether, you know, like it had all gone wrong and it was just, we were going to do a little one in someone's back garden. Like, I mean, I'd still want to do it as part of that group. And it's the same in Suffolk, like working on the land and growing vegetables is the thing that I found that I want to be doing, you know, and whether the you know, the business fails, or, you know, whether you know, whether like I don't know, let's say Ruth wants to move to Kathmandu again or whatever, like, I mean, growing vegetables it's the thing that I want to do now. So I think if you can find that, and if you can picture yourself doing it in all of the circumstances, then, I mean, that's the thing that for me to keep you going.
I've just got a bit of news just in. We've just been donated £1 million. So if you want to be back on board, then no, you're always a part of the Envirolution family, Matt. You know that.
Well, no, I mean, for me, today is kind of yeah. I mean, this has been beautiful, and like, you know, I think because it's the first one, I think probably the same as many people, like understanding how it's all worked and like where the conversations are going on has been difficult, but like just sitting there and just being part of it, and I, you know, and this is something I can do. Like the thing about Manchester is like, it's almost like it's almost like a trauma that I can't live with sometimes, you know, like I have to kind of turn myself off from it because I can't come and be there and do it. So like that's why I've I felt like I need to have that bit of distance. But I mean, if you're doing more of these, then this is fantastic. Then I'm all in, £1 million or not.
It's definitely been a learning curve for us all as far as putting on an online festival. It's a lot different than putting up tents in Plattfields Park. Instead, it's sticking in YouTube keys, figure out URLs and all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of minutes left, so I just want to ask you what we've been asking everybody today, and it's kind of like what, perhaps for you, but also for, why not, for society in general, what would be your future planet? What would be the ideal scenario for you, but also realistically, because obviously, you know what you're talking about. So like, what can we hope for and what can we strive for realistically to be our future planet?
I think, I think so. The caveat that I'd put on that is that, like, I think there's enough going on now that we can see the changes beginning, and I think that the most important bit for me is that more of us now would flourish in the future that's not this, and there's more people now that are kind of willing to let go of the stuff that's trapping us in this sort of cycle that we're in. So I think for me, like, the change has begun, and I think that so many more people now are sort of ready for it. So I think that's the starting point. And I think the lesson from Envirolution is that to celebrate and not sort of protest and campaign. I think to kind of flip that and really get into that mentality of sort of celebrating life, celebrating all the little victories, celebrating like today, celebrating everything. And like, I did some gratitude work on food, and I'm not very good at this sort of thing, but I made myself do it. And like, it's kind of like sitting down and being grateful for the carrot and the ground it was dug in, and the predators that kept the flies away, all that sort of side of it. And I think for me, it's just about celebrating everything, and then I think the future that comes from that is one that we're all happy in. And I think that for me is the beauty of it, is that we're all happy in it, like regardless of what it looks like, because I think even if when we get to this beautiful new world, like there's gonna be some huge kind of casualties to it, like the Great Barrier Reef, or some other sort of beautiful things that we're gonna have, like videos and images of, and that are not going to be there anymore. So I think that the trauma that it's going to be, but like the celebration of the journey there, and when we're there, we're going to be happy, and it's going to be beautiful wherever that place is.
I couldn't think of a better message to end on, closing up the talks and the workshops area today, mate. That's beautiful. Thank you. Judah, thank you so much for doing all these talks and workshops today. You've been an absolute legend with all of this. But yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say to Matt?
No, I mean, I've just been writing some notes now because I'm going to try and cover everything that's gone on in the last 7 hours. But I think Matt, you really did hit the nail on the head when he said, and it just struck a chord to me that we do all this stuff for the environment, but at the end of the day, it's the people that we do it with that make it worthwhile at the end. And of course, yeah, we do want to improve the environment, we want to improve society, but it makes it so much more worthwhile if you're stood next to people that you really get along with. So yeah, that was really struck a chord with me. So yeah, thanks for that, and thanks to you, Bob, for giving us the opportunity to put it on today, and yeah, just thanks to everyone who's been able to tune in and listen.
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can take from all the talks today. So yeah, cheers, Matt. Thank you very much. Love to Ruth and to Grunge. There's a big thank you to Paul down there. It's his birthday.
Yeah, I love you all too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's always good to see you. But yeah, always good to have you part of Envirolution as well. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, there's still loads going on around Envirolution. So we've got bands still on, and it goes on into the night. So I think that's about it for the talks and workshops for the day. That's right, isn't it, Tudor?
Yeah, that's the end of the live talks and workshops now. Obviously there's the pre-recorded videos which you can still view. Anything that was live today is going to be chopped up from the big long video that's been going on today, and then that's going to be on the YouTube over the next few days. Other than that, I think it's about time everybody went to head over to the music stage to see what's going on there, and that's where you'll find me anyway.
Me too. Thanks very much. Cheers again, Matt.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Take care, Matt. See you then.
Bye bye.